Okay, we should be good. All right, we're testing audio for you guys real quick as we go through the pre-show. Checking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to turn mine up because I'm on a studio speaker here with the guitars that we're cranking. That audio will blow my mind out if I do that right now. Yeah, I'm not going to switch the audio profiles right now.
Yeah, audio on YouTube and the website.
Yeah, that's all good. Okay, guys, we'll be with you here in about 3.5, 4 minutes.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association on the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Some people say that. Welcome in, everybody. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now. It's a garbage day at the ranch. Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good. Here we are, Wednesday, top of the hill.
Here we are, top of the hill. It's always downhill from Greg on a Wednesday, going downhill.
Yeah, it
He
is.
loves it for Fridays. You know, and Andy comes in all excited on Mondays to start the week. And, you know, we get just a whole litany of stuff going on.
That's because Andy's work week does not start on Sunday.
You know, that's probably a good point.
But he does get us here. His work week goes through Saturday, so he does 2 shows on Saturday. So he does get us there.
Yeah, I'm going to be a guest on his show after this show today, too, by the way.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't want to forget that, so I wanted to mention that out loud, so I got that out.
Had
So
to
remind
remind
me at the
yourself.
top of this hour when we close this out that I'm Comrexing over to Andy's studio at KQAM. So if you guys want to listen to continuing conversation with Andy Hoosier and myself, feel free. Jump over to KQAM right after this program at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's 2 p.m. Pacific. You can do the math in between. 4 p.m. Central Time on Andy's time zone. We'll be joining him for a little bit, talking about, well, I don't know, whatever Andy wants to talk about, because it's his show, don't you know? Anyway, this is all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. We have a lot to talk with you about today. Greg, we are live on Facebook streaming. Oh, we will be live on Facebook. Let me go ahead and click that live button, go live. So there we are. We will, a little bit of delay there, but we're up for you on Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Greg, everywhere else is looking good. You've already done the production crew test in the background. Tell people where else they can watch and participate in the chat, and we'll get started with some of the notes I got, because you got me for the hour. A lot to cover with you today. We'll try to get to all of it. Go ahead, Gregory.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. You can do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can head over to X. It's at AAR Mark. Also, you can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon and select that watch live or listen live option. If you'd like to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll do it. So how about we start with the ATF pistol brace rule
Let's do it.
today? The topics I want to cover with you are illegal aliens and guns and gun rights. Do illegal aliens have gun rights? Courts have spoken. Many courts have spoken. Circuit splits. We're going to cover that. North Carolina, Republicans getting ready to go after a veto override on permitless carry. Those of you living in North Carolina, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll probably get to that last. Sig. Yeah, right. We'll see about that. Dave, you might be a little bit early on that happy button there, that ta-da button.
At least they're doing something.
They are doing something, and they've got to pull a couple Democrats, or they got to move those 2 Republicans who ruled against it or voted against it. But we'll see what happens there. We don't know.
Primary.
But, you know, something may have broke today that I'm even unaware of right now. So if that's the case, well, you know, we'll talk about it tomorrow. But I haven't seen anything as of showtime yet. And, of course, the ATF pistol brace rule. I'm going to go there with you in a couple minutes. What else do I have for you? Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, New Orleans. That's illegally possessing guns. What else do I have? Air Force SIG. SIG's in trouble. SIG's in trouble. There's no way dancing around this, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk a little bit about this, the M18 and the Air Force, and what this means. This is fascinating conversation here, quite frankly. And I was handed a memo yesterday and was able to confirm it quickly. So we'll go through it with you. Let's start with the ATF pistol brace rule, all right? Because the Biden era ATF pistol brace rule is officially dead in the water, folks. There's the ta-da. Ta-da.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
hold
play
on
the
one
ta-da.
second.
There we go. Ta-da. There it is. Vacated after Trump's Department of Justice under Bondi, of course, agreed to drop its appeal in a federal lawsuit. So a huge, huge win for gun owners. And we'll try to break this down for you as best we can and get some conversation. We'll conversate for Patrick, the attorney, in the chat. Yes, Patrick, we're going to conversate. He did say conversate. I like that. I like that. So Patrick has just become this weird part of the show, and he didn't even realize it was going to happen, did he, Greg?
You know, it happens that way sometimes.
Just keep going in the chat. You never know, guys. It could happen to you. So a huge win for gun owners. Let's try to break it down. So stick with me for the next few minutes. We try to unpack what this means, why it matters, and what it says about the ongoing fight for our constitutional rights, particularly in a Trump administration. The basics, for those of you who might not be familiar here, A pistol brace is a device that you attach to a firearm, like an AR-15 pistol, to stabilize that pistol against your forearm. Now, Greg, have you ever held an AR-15 pistol without a brace?
Yeah, with just the buffer tube in there.
With just the buffer tube. It's difficult to stabilize that pistol.
Yeah, it's pretty impossible. It fits for me, fits uncomfortably, and I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and it's near impossible to shoulder that thing with a buffer tube. But
I've
wait
seen
a minute.
people try that, but
It's not accurate.
Yeah,
I've done it all. It's not fun to shoot like that. So the AR-15 pistol, while it's a great gun, and it's really good for home defense, by the way. The AR, that my personal opinion. Some people don't like it. I happen to like it. You can, you write your own book on that however you want. Your mileage might vary. That's totally cool with me. You think about it what you want to think about, but we'll get into the facts of this. And the fact of the matter is, to me, it's not real comfortable. So when the pistol braces come out, they attach, you can replace that buffer tube with that pistol brace, or attach that pistol brace to that. So we won't get into all the gunsmithing of that, but suffice to say, these braces have been around since, if I'm not mistaken, I think around 2011, 2012, in that area. And for years and years and years, our good friends, I guess I can call them good friends, over at the AFT under Biden, our great friends.
AFT.
There it is, Joe. At the ATF, said they were perfectly legal for years. No issue. No regulation. Been around forever. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, they're fine. No big deal. But then, back in 2023, who was president? Oh, it was Biden.
Yeah, that'd be Joe Biden.
It was Joe Biden. And Joe Biden began weaponizing the federal government against us as gun owners, in particular the AFT.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Particularly the AFT. And I say that tongue-in-cheek, ladies and gentlemen. It's the ATF we're talking about. But that's Joe Biden's actual voice. We did not doctor that at all. That's what he called it on more than one occasion. It's not an AI deal. Right. Thank you, Greg. But that's what he said. What did he say?
The AFT.
All right. So that's why we say AFT. Of course, we're talking about the ATF. But they said they were perfectly legal. There was no issue. There was no regulation necessary under the National Firearms Act. Then back in 2023, began the weaponization of government against us. And the ATF decided that they were going to do what? Flip the script. Let's just issue a new rule. Biden got with somebody and said, and more than likely Dettelbach after the fight with Chipman before he gets his anti-gunner in there. Let's just, hey, do me a favor. Let's just change the rule over here. All right. Let's go through the process and we'll change the rule. And it doesn't matter what the comment sections say because we're going to ignore it anyway. And we're going to create a new rule. And along with that new rule, we're going to enforce law. And we're going to give you the authority to arrest, charge, and convict people who violate your rule. Well, ATF doesn't have the congressional authority to do that. But Biden didn't give a crap. They just did it anyway. And the final rule was 2021R. See if I can remember this -08F, I believe. I'll have to look that up during the break, see if my memory's any good. That reclassified the AR pistol with braces as short-barreled rifles under the National Firearms Act. And we talked about this at the time live as it was going on for a long time. So why does it matter? Well, if your pistol is labeled a short-barrel rifle, otherwise known lovingly and collectively in the field as an SBR, you're suddenly stuck dealing with a bunch of mess of federal red tape or possibly jail or prison, depending on the weaponized agency coming after you. In this case, Biden's AFT, because they decided to change the rules, right? Well, at that time, still now, it does require mandatory registration for an SBR, but come January 26, it will not require the $200 tax stamp. So this fight is ongoing. Hopefully, we'll be successful in courts, and it will no longer require the mandatory registration. But suffice to say, longer waiting periods, and at that time it was taking up to close to a year in many cases, and the kind of scrutiny that you would expect if you were buying a machine gun. Same thing. So the rule was set to turn millions of us, myself included, because I have one, law-abiding Americans, and now the government estimates are where, I don't know where the estimates come from, Greg. We've heard 10 to 40 million pistol braces out there in the wild, right? Really no way to know that. I think 40 million might be high, 10 million might be about right. Somewhere in there, but there's really no easy way to tell that. But it would turn those people into felons overnight unless they complied. I did not comply. And I never got rid of mine, and I never got rid of my bump stock, which, by the way, magically reappeared. I don't know how that happened. Somehow, because it was not in my safe, it was not in my house.
Shadow, huh?
I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it reappeared at my house. And I thought, well, there that thing is. Look at that. And I still have my SBR. SBR is what the government would refer to as an SBR, meaning my AR-15 pistol that was braced. I never complied with that. So now enter the Firearms Policy Coalition, along with plaintiffs William Mock and Maxim Defense, known as the Mox case. We come back from the break. We'll talk a little bit about it because it's important, because lo and behold, guess what? It's dead.
20.
It's gone. And you can thank FPC for that. You thank SAF for that. You thank NRA for that, and all the other big groups out there that were fighting this. We'll be back talking more about it right after the break. Don't go away.
We may have to find a replacement for Abbott, but
Eventually, you're going to have to. All right, cameras, mics up.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every single day. And we're sitting here in the Patriot Mobile Command Center in front of the Patriot Mobile. It's all being brought to you by the NRA. I had a great conversation with the National Rifle Association a couple days ago, and they are thrilled with the response, which means the range bag that we're giving away, and we've got extras now, okay? I don't even know what the number is anymore, but we may even change that up for a different giveaway coming up in the next couple weeks if we run out. But if you'd like to get the free NRA range bag, all you have to do is join the National Rifle Association by visiting nra.org/AAR. You can click the link right on my website if you want to do that instead of typing it in at armedamericanradio.com or .org. And by doing so, if you sign up for a 1-year or 3-year membership to the NRA, and we hope you would do that, particularly when you hear conversations that we're going to continue here in just a moment. That's why it's so important that you're a member of this 800-pound gorilla in the room, that being the National Rifle Association and others. But folks, 1 to 3 years get you that range bag for free. It's worth the $35 for the sign up. And that saves you about $10 as well. And it's $35 a year to join or rejoin the NRA for 1 year. If you want to go for the 3 year at $85, that's a great deal. That's the range bag. If you want to get the binoculars, 5-year or life membership, get you the 10x42 NRA binoculars. They're super high quality. They come with the case and the covers and et cetera. So you get it all. And you join the National Rifle Association, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, or life. Take advantage of that. You'll see the pictures of everything up there on the website when you do that, just by visiting nra.org/AAR. And you can make that easy just by visiting armedamericanradio.com and check out all of our great partners over there. Ammo Squared, start stocking ammo over there like I do. Got thousands of rounds over there. AmmoSquared.com. They're all listed for you there. Please support them. They're what keeps this show on the airwaves now in our 17th year. All right, welcome back. Let's keep the conversation going. We're talking about the pistol brace rule. And our Firearms Policy Coalition. Enter these beasts into the room. We love FPC, SAF, and many others. And the plaintiff was William Mock and Maxim Defense. And they said, hold it. The case is now known as Mock v. Bondi. But it was filed in 2023 during the Biden administration. And basically what they said was, hold on, Mr. ATF, Mr. AFT, you don't get to rewrite the law and criminalize millions of Americans just because you feel like it or you want it to be this way. Well, the courts agreed. Last year, a federal district court in Texas under Judge Reed O'Connor, we talked about this, Greg, you'll recall, when it originally broke, he vacated the rule, calling it arbitrary and capricious. The Fifth Circuit backed that up, and on July 17, 2025, the DOJ, now under new management, of course, during the Trump administration, back in office, beautifully, threw in the towel and agreed to dismiss its appeal. So this is a huge victory, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon Combs from the FPC, I'll quote him. He said, "Today is a great day for freedom and the American people. Braced pistols are not short-barreled rifles, but either way, they are unquestionably arms protected under the Second Amendment." And that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. That's the core of it. The Second Amendment doesn't bend because some stupid Democrat, liberal bureaucrat wakes up one day, and that being Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the rest of them in that administration. They don't get to wake up and just decide to reinterpret a 90-year-old law like the National Firearms Act. And let's be clear, the rule wasn't not ever about public safety, ever. It was about gun control. The Biden AFT or ATF tried to sneak this thing through after mass shootings, claiming that the braces were being misused. But there was never, Greg, any solid evidence whatsoever that these devices were ever a problem that the Biden administration said that they were. It was just simply a power grab, plain and simple, Greg. You know that.
I think it was an easy target that they thought, because they could say, well, that's an SBR because the barrel is obviously short and it's got a stock on it, which it doesn't have either. But yeah, it does have a short barrel. But, this was just an instance that was low-hanging fruit for the Biden administration and for Mr. Dettelbach over there. And they did a lot of this, a lot of low-hanging fruit that was easy to criminalize more Americans. And I wholeheartedly believe that it was not only an attack on rights, but it was an attack on citizens'
Of course it was.
futures rights, because they're looking to restrict all rights. And so if they can criminalize you, then they can eliminate your rights.
Well, let's put it this way. As I'm listening to you, first off, Dettelbach, I wonder what he's doing now.
I hope he's cleaning toilets somewhere. And that actually is too good of a
It'd
job.
be nice
for
to
him.
see him cleaning toilets in a penitentiary with Brian Coburn.
In Orange.
Yeah, well, anyway, forget Dettelbach. He's gone. The bigger picture here was someone had a conversation in the bowels of the White House that said, let's criminalize more Americans. Let's make this a crime. Let's make decent, hardworking, law-abiding citizens by the millions criminals, because they knew that was going to be the outcome of what their end game was.
Yep.
Because the ATF was going to enforce this and had enforced it.
Well, and it wasn't just the ATF that they were going on the federal. I mean, we know that Soros funded tons of DAs across the nation that were going easy on crime for migrants and for minorities, and were heavy on crime for all others, which is predominantly the rest of the white population. And so it was an instance for them to start criminalizing more people, because if you had noticed, while we were pointing out through a lot of the crime waves that were going on, the statistics that were unfavorable to immigrants and minorities, they were labeling those people as white as they were booking them in, so that it wouldn't look like it was immigrants and minorities that were committing most of the crimes.
While the immigrant illegal alien door was wide open at the border.
Exactly. It was welded open.
Whew, unbelievable. So very, very important. Again, let's look at the number. They say 10 to 40 million. Don't really know that. I think 40 million seems high to me. I don't know why, but it just does. It feels high to me. We know, now that's braces we're talking about. It's just that number seems high. But let's just say somewhere between 10 and 40 million. That's a lot of law-abiding Americans who are now staring down the barrel of federal prosecution, bro.
Yeah.
That's 10 to 20, 30, 40 million Americans, whatever that number is, now looking at destroyed lives, felony records, federal prosecution, prison, bankruptcy to try to defend themselves. And it would have been useless to even attempt, because they were going to win. It's kind of like this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me make this very simple for you. If you're pulled over by the cops and you want to be one of these people that says, I don't have to show you a driver's license, and you want to play that game, guess who's going to win? The cops are going to win. And you're going to wind up face down outside your car, possibly with a broken window, in order to get you out in a cut seatbelt. They're going to do what they have to do. All right? It's that simple.
Dead.
The authority is going to win this. So, this was a frightening prospect for a lot of people. And I had one. So it affected me as well. They never got it, and they never would. And we made that point very clear here on the radio program. All right? Just come and take it. But they won't. A lot of talk. But they'll go after you. They'll selectively prosecute whoever they want to. And with anywhere between 10 and 40 million people, that's a lot of people to be able to reach into that bucket and go, okay, well, let's pick that name. Oh, Greg Lindemood. Okay, let's go after him. Where's he live? Okay? So it's a lot of people. So it's a big deal. And it's also a slap in the face, by the way. The decision by the DOJ is a huge smack in the face to the ATF and their habit of making up rules as they go, isn't it? Whack.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nice not the first time. Not the first time the ATF tried to overstep its authority, or did not try, but did. Think bump stocks. Think ghost guns. And it's not going to be the last until or unless we keep pushing back, which is what we're going to do. But the victory, it did not come easy. It took relentless litigation, cost a lot of money and a lot of time. Groups like the FPC, the NRA, and others who were willing to fight it tooth and nail. One right after the other. That's what we do. Armed American Radio will continue right after this. We're going to switch gears after the break.
following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed, ladies and gentlemen. National Rifle Association bringing it to you every day. Don't forget Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com/AAR. This phone that I'm holding up on camera is a Patriot Mobile activated phone. You can do the same thing. patriotmobile.com/AAR. Use that promo code and get a month free. And you can do it one line at a time. As I've been telling you for months now, you can do it one line at a time. You don't have to do the whole kit and caboodle. You can do it one phone line at a time if you owe a bunch of money on your phones. I get that, and so do they. That's why they do that. That's why they offer that. If you want to flip it out, if you owe $500 or less on the phone, they give you a credit, which is what I did on this line here. So you don't have to pay the bill, and they pay you back for doing that. So it works out great. PatriotMobile.com. You can support a company that supports your gun rights and actually supports the organizations that we're talking about here. Looking forward to seeing them. I believe I am going to. My schedule's been a mess, but it looks like I will be able to make the GOA for at least one day coming up in August in Knoxville. So if you're going to be there, hang out with me over at the Patriot Mobile booth or a couple other booths. I'll tell you as we get closer. You can come over and shake my paw. That'll be fun. We'll get some pics and all that fun stuff. Lots of great people are going to be there, including AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News will also be there. So to wrap up on the pistol brace deal, is it a win? Yeah, it's a huge win. The DOJ's decision to drop the appeal under Trump's leadership is a gigantic victory, and it shows what we can do when we put our efforts together. Here's the problem with this. It's gone for now. But as we know, government, look what happened in the previous administration. Those agencies don't give up easily, particularly under new leadership, right? So without a Supreme Court ruling or some type of amendment or some type of, and I not say constitutional amendment for that, but a court victory at a Supreme Court level would be huge. Likely won't see that. Legislation would be nice. And at some point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have another Democrat administration. Don't know when that will be, but God forbid it's the next administration coming in after Trump. They can pull the same shenanigans that the Biden administration did. But for now, it's a huge victory. So look forward to being able to buy, you go online, you go over to Daniel Defense and pick up one of their braced pistols coming up near future. And if you wait till January, you're not going to have to pay that $200 tax stamp. And hopefully, we can get rid of that registration, Greg. So that would be let's just say fun, right?
Yeah, let's hope that the next Congress decides to do something about that other than just, hey, we got rid of the $200. Now you still got to register.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
It's like the typical Republican win is they only get part of it.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm real disappointed with how Republicans consider winning, especially legislators, because this isn't really a win. I mean, yeah, you don't have to pay $200, but there's all the other paperwork that's still required.
Well, it's a win when you can buy it and the rule's been vacated and it's you're no longer looking at felony convictions and all this because of a weaponized AFT. But it needs to be codified, okay? That's the end game. Let's move over to illegal alien criminals, because anybody that breaks into the country in my book is a criminal, period.
Yep.
Do criminal illegal aliens, and that means every illegal alien, because they violated federal law to get here, do they have the right to bear arms while in this country? Undocumented?
No.
It's a big deal. Let's try to unpack this, because we all think, well, Second Amendment, I mean, it makes sense, right? Second Amendment right is an American right. Well, I would argue the Second Amendment right is a human right. But it's our country. It is, right. It should be. And it is here. It's recognized as a human right here because the Second Amendment does, in fact, codify that. Well, what happens if you break in to the country? Courts have wrestled with this for a while. It's not really as clear-cut and dried as you might think it is when you consider that the courts have had to wrestle with this. But who's wrestling with it? Conservative courts say, no, they don't. Liberal courts will say, whatever they want to say. Let's start with the big news out of the Fifth Circuit last week. Let's go back to August, I believe it was August of 2024. The Fifth Circuit out of New Orleans dropped a bombshell in the case involving a Mexican guy by the name of Jose Medina Cantu, and we did speak about that when it occurred. This was a guy that was arrested down in Texas, where you're at, Greg, back in 2022, for illegally possessing a handgun and re-entering the country after being deported. He argued at the time that banning him from owning a firearm violated his constitutional rights. Now, you think about the audacity of that. I'm breaking in your damn country. You kick me out. I come back, and I claim I have a constitutional right. My initial response to that is something I cannot say on the airwaves. Who the what? No,
Yeah.
that
It's
angers me. God,
it's
FCC,
disgusting.
FCC. It is disgusting. FCC, FCC, FCC. It's disgusting. So yeah, that pops out, and I know it does you too.
It reeks of someone that breaks into your home and then you shoot them and injure them somehow, and then they turn around and sue you for shooting and injuring them, or whatever you do to injure them. Maybe you don't shoot them, maybe you beat them with a baseball bat or with your fist or something, and then the cops come and then they turn around and sue you because of all the damage you did to them while they were in your home.
Yeah, that's true. And the Democrats will argue oddly that anybody here their constitutional rights are protected while they're on U.S. soil, even though they're here illegally. Well, the Fifth Circuit said not so fast. Okay, so we love us a little Fifth Circuit, I think.
That's Texas.
Yeah, it's Texas. You got to love that. And the reasoning here, why does all this matter? Because the Fifth Circuit said, as I said, not so fast, right? It doesn't work that way. They ruled that the federal law prohibiting undocumented or illegal alien criminals from possessing a firearm is in fact lawful, and that the Second Amendment does not apply to those who've entered the country illegally and broken our laws. So why does that matter? Well, it was the 2011 case, I believe. Let me see if I can find this here. Prior decision, United States versus Portillo Munoz from 2011, where they said, what court was this? Let me just read this here. The court leaned on a prior decision, United States v. Portillo Munoz from 2011, where they said the people doesn't include illegal aliens. Their reasoning, historical tradition. Back when the Second Amendment was written in 1791, gun ownership was tied to allegiance to the nation. If you weren't a citizen or didn't owe loyalty to the United States, you weren't handed a musket and told to go have fun. Is essentially what happened. All right, but that makes sense. Fifth Circuit's decision reinforced the fact that rights come with responsibilities. One of those is to actually be here lawfully, right? Mm-hmm. Back in 2024, a federal judge this is a case we covered in Illinois, Coleman, Sharon Johnson Coleman was the judge who ruled the opposite way in Carballo Flores. This guy is Alberto Carballo Flores, was an illegal immigrant caught with a handgun in Chicago during the 2020 riots. You remember talking about this? It's going back a ways. But he claimed he was just protecting property and himself during the chaos. Judge Coleman said the federal ban on undocumented immigrants owning guns was unconstitutional as applied to him because he wasn't a violent criminal. He's a criminal. He's not violent. She argued in a ruling that the Second Amendment's plain text, and I quote, protects firearm possession for undocumented folks who haven't been convicted of felonies or violent crimes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're like me, hold on before you start yelling at your radio or your phone or whatever device you're watching or listening to the show on. Coleman's ruling didn't say that every single undocumented, illegal, criminal alien gets to walk into a gun shop and buy an AR-15. It was a very narrow ruling, and we discussed this at the time, saying that if someone's not a danger to society, they might have some Second Amendment protections. But here's the kicker. The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, which covers Illinois, later upheld that federal gun ban for undocumented immigrants in July, this month. Said there's a long tradition of disarming people who haven't sworn allegiance to the U.S., like undocumented immigrants, illegal criminals. So the Seventh Circuit kind of lined up with the Fifth Circuit here. But there's a circuit split here. It creates confusion. The 11th Circuit back in 2023, I believe, ruled that criminal illegal immigrants don't have Second Amendment rights also. So we've got the 5th, the 7th, okay, involved in this. So it's a mess, except guess what? Criminal illegal aliens, it has been found, do not have a constitutional right to keep and bear arms in the United States. It's pretty much that simple. And I think most of you listening will agree that the Second Amendment is, in fact, a sacred right. But it's for we the people. And that means citizens, us, or at least people who are here legally and respect our laws that have permanent residency status and who've played by the rules, not breaking into our country. So that's another victory when we come back. A couple other issues we want to cover with you today on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense here on Garbage Day. And we'll see if we have time to get to North Carolina, talk a little bit about that. Can the Republicans override a veto in North Carolina? We'll see. Guys, we'll be back at you here in just a couple minutes. Sorry, we got a lot going on during the breaks today. I apologize, but we're working on the breaks, so the mics haven't been live, so hang with us as we break for the national breaks for the radio stations across the country for their 4 minutes of fame. Yes. Yeah, bro, it gets hot in here really quick when it's as hot as shit as it is outside.
$30.
All right, cut that thing off. Mics and cameras are back up. Mics were up. Cameras back up.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, that's a wise idea, ladies and gentlemen. Attorneysonretainer.us had a conversation with those fine folks today as well. I'll be broadcasting out there in Phoenix. If everything works out right, looks like we're setting up for the last week of August, Greg. So we'll keep you posted on that. We'll either be at the Attorneys on Retainer offices or we'll be over there at the Patriot AM 960, the Patriot in beautiful Phoenix. Beautiful, beautiful radio studio. The Salem studios there are gorgeous. But guys, if you don't have an attorney and you carry a gun, you're making a huge mistake. I'm just going to tell you that right up front, because you can have an attorney for $35. And we covered a lot of different scenarios when we were talking with Attorneys on Retainer today about why this product is so important for you. And I don't have enough time. I didn't really have enough time to put that all together for you today. So I'll just tell you, if you carry a firearm, you absolutely want to have an attorney in your back pocket. Not only one, but an entire team. If you're ever investigated, attorneysonretainer.us does that for you. And the big kicker here, the takeaway from this, is you have attorney-client privilege instantly. Instantly. I do want to cooperate with you. However, I want to speak with my attorney because you have an attorney. And it covers tons of different scenarios. And here's one, Greg. This is something I was talking about with them this afternoon. Guys, you're sitting home on a Friday afternoon. Been a long work week. You're having a few cocktails. Maybe you feel the alcohol a little bit. Find yourself in a self-defense shooting at home. Alcohol's involved. Maybe you're a prohibited person and alcohol is involved and you're defending yourself. Attorneys on Retainer doesn't throw you out the door. Attorneys on Retainer defend you all the way through if there are charges filed. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what weapon you use. Doesn't matter the situation. They're your attorneys. There's no exclusion in coverage. They are your attorneys, ladies and gentlemen, and they defend you, okay? Just a couple extreme examples. There's no exclusion there. Have an attorney in your back pocket. It's the smartest thing that you can do if you carry a firearm. God forbid you need it. You're going to go broke without it if you need an attorney. It's going to cost you, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't be that person that goes, God, I heard him talking about it. Why didn't I do that? Because, yes, it can happen to you. Attorneysonretainer.us, attorneysonretainer.us. I'll go into some more detail about that when we can put it together in a little bit more bullet point form for you. But there's a lot going on over there, ladies and gentlemen. Suffice to say, you can go ahead and pick up that coverage, the attorney coverage, right off the bat. Attorneysonretainer.us. Save $50 in the process. It's $35 a month to have attorney-client privilege instantly, immediately. And I just got my invoice today. All of my family, that's the $25 per person. Just paid it today. $25 for a family. Attorneysonretainer.us/AAR, or you can just visit them right at my website. armedamericanradio.com. You can find all of our other great partners over there as well, too. National Rifle Association. You can find Emerson Knives over there, Defender Coffee over there, Car Arms, Crossbreed Holsters, heavensharvest.com. They're all there for you at Armed American Radio, armedamericanradio.com or .org. All right, I want to move over to Sig real fast because Sig's got problems on their hands, guys. And I don't know how this is going to shake out, but it keeps getting worse for Sig. Yesterday, Sig M18, which, as you know it as the P320, and Greg, you're familiar with this. We've talked about this before, but it's their modular handgun system, which was adopted by the U.S. military, I believe, back in 2017. And it replaced what they, I don't like the aging Beretta M9. Does the Beretta 92 FS really age? Yeah, I guess if you consider, newer innovations, maybe in new designs and handgun designs, et cetera, you could consider it that. I've had the Beretta 92 FS, a pair of them for years. They're wonderful guns. But this one, the M18, is the military's compact version of the Sig P320. It's a striker fired pistol, and it's been, widely praised across civilian and military use for its modularity, its lighter weight, et cetera. And it's cheaper than the M9 too, by the way, and Sig won the contract. The Air Force alone, ladies and gentlemen, bought 125,000 of these for $22 million back in 2020. But here's the deal. They've been coming under fire lately, and we've talked about it here on the program. We've had Sig reps on the program discussing it as well for safety issues. Reports of so-called uncommanded, they're calling it uncommanded discharges when the gun fires without the trigger being pulled. And we've talked about those openly with Sig here on the broadcast, but it has dogged the P320 for 2-3 years now, I guess. Just 2 weeks ago, as you know, the FBI reported, if you listen to the show, if not, I'll tell you right now, the FBI report raised some concerns about the issue when they were pointing to a Michigan State police incident where an M18 went off while holstered, or a P320 went off while holstered. ICE, we reported that Michigan deal to you. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, banned the P320 outright after that report. We covered this, Greg, was it 2 weeks ago when the P320 was banned? Yep. Now, their incident just happened at F.E. Warren base. This is back on July 20th, just 3 days ago, ladies and gentlemen, when an airman from the 90th Security Forces Squadron was killed when his M18, which allegedly is secured, I'm going to say that fairly, in a Safariland holster, allegedly discharged while he was removing it from his duty belt. So pay careful attention to that wording, because Sig certainly will, okay? While he was removing it from his duty belt, the bullet hit him in the chest and killed him. Now, the Air Force isn't saying yet whether it was a mechanical failure of sorts, whether it was a holster issue. They've been quiet on this to this point. I haven't seen anything related to that, or whether they're saying it could be anything else. But they're not taking any chances. General Thomas, and I don't know pronounce his name, Bussier, who is head of the Global Strike Command, which is known in the acronym AFGSC, the Air Force Global Strike Command, issued a memo 2 days ago, and we got a copy of it immediately, ordering all M18 sidelined for both operations and training. And what they're doing, Greg, is they're replacing the M18, or the P320 as you know it in civilian circles, with M4 rifles to maintain security, including we're talking at sensitive nuclear sites like F.E. Warren and others. Okay,
so you're going from a pistol to a rifle.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. They went from the pistol to the F4, and I guess that could speak to the quality of what they felt the quality of the M18 was. But it's a big deal, folks, because the Global Strike Command oversees our nation's nuclear missiles and bombers. 34,000 troops are guarding some of those critical assets in the United States and around the world. And if they don't trust the M18, that's a flag. But it hasn't just been the Air Force. The Marine Corps also had an incident, I'm reading here, in 2023 at Camp Foster in Japan where an M18 fired while holstered. Again, allegedly. Sig is fighting all of these. They've won the vast majority of the lawsuits that are out there, ladies and gentlemen. But
30.
Here's the problem. And I'll be right up front with this. And Sig is welcome to come on this program, as they have before, and talk about this. They have an open invitation, as you know. You've heard them talk about this on the program before, and they have been adamant about the safety of the firearm. They're welcome to come back and discuss this. We're just simply reporting what is going on now with the Air Force. But it looks like, because I believe it was ICE. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg. I think it was ICE that is moving to the Glock 19X. Okay. So what does this mean for SIG going down the road? The Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act keeps gun companies safe from prosecution, or let me put it this way, from liability, I should say, not prosecution, from liability, but not if it's defective. You can still sue a gun maker if the gun is defective that you have that goes bang in your hands and you blow your wrist off. The PLCAA does not cover a manufacturer for that. So it's just going to keep getting worse. We're going to continue to follow this. And as I said, Sig Sauer is welcome to come on the program and talk about it at any time they want. Jason Wright, their VP of Marketing, told Breitbart News, our hearts are with the service members and families impacted by the reported event at F.E. Warren Air Force Base. We have offered assistance to the U.S. military as they investigate the incident and remain willing to help in furtherance of our ongoing investigation. We will continue the conversation tomorrow. Enjoy your day.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
Yeah, so guys, I'm looking in the comment section, and some of you were talking about the Glocks. I ran out of time because of that hard clock. But I will tell you this, we'll probably carry this conversation on with Paul Markle on Friday. Tomorrow's show the schedule is already filled up. I didn't want to bring anybody on today because I wanted to hit some of these topics with you solo. And maybe we'll see if we can get at this tomorrow, because people are mentioning in here, Greg, that the Glock has its own ND problem. One of the things, I think if military moves to a Glock, the one modification that I think the military might require them to make is
drop in.
Well, I think that you're talking about the drop-in triggers. No, where I'm going with this is the function where the Glock trigger has to be pulled in order to be taken down to clean. Okay, and I think Glock could probably modify that so that the trigger is not required to be pulled beforehand, because most Glock accidents occur during the takedown process when you are forced to pull the trigger so that you can release the slide, et cetera, to get at the lower unit. So is that going to happen? I don't know. I'll tell you what I do with my Glocks, and I have lots of Glocks. I love my Glocks. I carry a gun chambered everywhere I go, but I don't top off that magazine after I chamber a round in the Glock, because I'm human. So if I've got a 17-round magazine, 17 rounds is good enough, just 18 is good enough, folks. I'm comfortable with that. I used to, but for a couple of reasons. Every time I unloaded that firearm, I was very clear to make sure, because I knew that I always put an extra one in the pipe. But I'm a human being and can forget that I did that. I'm human, and I'm smart enough to know that I'm a stupid human and can make that mistake, number one. Number two, I think even more important than that, in many cases, well, not more important, but I always wound up with an extra round somewhere in my pocket, Yeah. When I took it never wound up, but I was finding them somewhere. My wife would find it sitting on the counter and put it in a drawer somewhere, and I'm out there collecting ammo for the next month because I carry my guns, religiously. So that's one issue with Glock. And you make that mistake, you drop the magazine, you see that magazine is full, and you make that human mistake and go, oh, I've unchambered the gun. Because you got to pull that trigger, and you don't want to find out that you made that human mistake by doing it. So that's just one step extra that I take personally, because I'm smart enough to know that I'm stupid as a human being and can make that mistake. Anyway, that's just me. As I said earlier in the show, your mileage may vary. Guys, we'll continue the conversation tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Love you, each and every one of you. Hope you enjoy the rest of your garbage day, and we'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.